Hi, this is Jocelyn Dunn with Dunn Wedding Design and Event Planning based in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. And thanks so much for clicking in on my video, The 5 Biggest Mistakes Couples Make When Planning a Wedding That Can Cost You Thousands, and How to Avoid Them. I am a planner based in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and been in business for about 3 years now. These are some of the things I've seen along the way. There is also just as a housekeeping note, there's also a PDF of just notes that I've put together as an outline for this presentation that you can request if you don't have it. It's at dunweddings.com, and there is a text field to fill out for a copy of the video. We also send the PDF along as well. So anyway, you can request the PDF that way. So let's get down to the crux of the matter of why you clicked in on this video anyway. So the 5 biggest mistakes I see, and these are in no particular order, but let's talk about the budget, because as a planner, this is often the first question that I ask when I sit down with a new couple. Okay, so tell me about, roughly what you think you have for a budget. And I hear a lot of, around $20,000 or 40,000-ish. And it's very important that you know where that money is coming from. So there's a couple things I suggest to my clients, and that is you want to create a wedding checking account fund just for your wedding budget. So this shouldn't be where your, say, everyday funds are going to go, but this is basically a repository for your disposable income. And what I mean by that is this is the income that after you've paid off all of your bills and all of your incidentals like dry cleaning and your pizza Fridays or whatever, this is the money that's left over after each paycheck. And what I have my clients do is take a look at what they're bringing in with both their paycheck and their fiance's paycheck, and then what's left over. What can they comfortably, and still buy gas, put aside every month into this special wedding checking account fund. If you are contributing in partial and somebody else is mom or dad contributing to your wedding, try, and I know this is easier said than done, try to get the funds as sooner in the process of being engaged as possible, because then you have control over it and you're not waiting for mom and dad to hand over $10,000 if you find a vendor that you love, per se. And then the best thing to do is, of course, funnel that into this wedding checking account fund that's here specifically for these types of purchases. As far as figuring out what you're going to put in each month, take that disposable income after you go through that process and multiply by the number of months that you're engaged. If this number is more than what you expected, then kudos to you. But if it's less, for sure, you need to start thinking about where the rest of the finances are going to come from. And really, make sure that your math makes sense to you. Because a lot of times people take a look at the number of what they're actually going to be contributing over the next, I'm going to say 12-month engagement, and it's actually a lot less than what they thought. So it's important that you've gone through that exercise up front. Okay, let's move on. The next big mistake I see is not creating the guest list early on in the process. And this can actually save you some money if you do this exercise early enough, as well as make your life a little bit easier when you're looking at venues, because of course some venues will accommodate 200 plus guests into a tent, and if you don't like tented weddings, then you can cross these people off your list. The easiest way to make creating a guest list less painful, and it's not exactly the best process in the world. Brides and grooms have been known to fight over this. I know I did. What you want to do really is to create a guest list with your fiance. Ask your mom and dad to create a guest list, and then ask your future in-laws to do the same. And then take a look at all 3 lists, and hopefully there'll be a lot of duplicates, and you can cross that off, and that feels really good, by the way. So then you'll have sort of a realistic number when you go looking at venues, and maybe this number is less than you thought, more than you thought. And of course, the big question is, can you afford this number if it's 200 guests or more? Do you need to stretch your budget out? But there are ways to deal with that too. I mean, you'd want to look at that list and say, okay, are these people really important to me, or is my fiance's third cousin from that he hasn't seen in 15 years really need to be at our wedding? But anyway, this should give you a reasonable idea for when you go to visit venues, because that's going to be the first question someone's going to ask you is, how many guests are you expecting? Okay, let's move on to bar. Okay, this is where I don't see couples doing their homework enough. So you should know the bar options that are available to you at a given venue. Now, for instance, a country club is going to say, oh no, you must buy our alcohol, and it's either a consumption or a flat base rate. Some places will say, no, you hire an outside caterer, they can provide the alcohol, or you can buy it on your own, and this may actually save you money. The two most common for alcohol packages that you see at most venues are a consumption basis or a flat fee basis. And really, you know your guests. If you have a lot of friends who like to drink, then you're probably better off with the flat fee versus the consumption basis. It is what it says. Flat fee is you're charged $7 a drink, say, for each guest for each drink. If a consumption basis is, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. A flat fee is you're charged a certain dollar figure per each guest. That's it. Consumption basis is a dollar figure times each drink. That's where things tend to add up. And the problem with consumption basis is you're not actually paying that bill until the end of the evening. So you really don't want to leave your wedding reception with this absolutely huge bill. Okay, so as I was saying before, if you can go out and actually buy your own alcohol, this could actually save you some money. I'll give you a little tip here. If you're getting married in the Rhode Island or Massachusetts area, or New Hampshire, the New Hampshire liquor stores, the New Hampshire State Liquor Outlets, I think is what they're called, are fantastic. They will take back opened cases of wine, not open bottles, but open cases of wine. It doesn't have to be a complete case by any means. And you can actually end up with some money back after your honeymoon. That could be a really nice little boost there. So if you don't live near New Hampshire, look for a local liquor store and check into their return policies, because that could end up saving you some money, just so you know. Okay, let's move on. The next topic I'm going to say is contracts. And this is where, what I mean by this is you really want to read the fine print. A lot of us sign contracts and we don't realize that we're liable for certain things if they don't occur in a timely fashion. I'll just relate a story for myself. So when I was getting married, I had gone to a hotel and signed a document for a room block, and I didn't read the fact that they were going to release that room block 2 weeks prior to my wedding. So of course that my guest didn't sign up within that period, and I was an irate bridezilla. They accommodated me, but you really need to read the fine print. The other thing is, don't feel pressure to sign anything right there on the spot. If it's a good vendor, they should understand that you want to take this document home and read it. And you can always fax it to them the next day, but just make sure that you understand what you're signing, okay? And for the last one, for the fifth mistake, I see, I'm going to call this the wedding stuff, wedding items. This can be things like people spending way too much money on ice sculptures or aisle runners that they don't really want, but maybe their mom wants them to have. And it's hard to pinpoint what exactly it is that I'm saying, but you'll know it when you see it. If you love something, then that's a go. I mean, but if it's something somebody else wants, my mother wanted an aisle runner. I didn't want an aisle runner. I told her, the priest told me no. That was the best way to get around it. But what you want to do is keep track of these little purchases, and they could be for favors or for beverage napkins with your initials on them. And just, kind of keep track of what you're spending and if it's really worth it, I guess, is the best advice I can give you. Anyway, thank you very much for listening in on this video. Please visit my website. It's dunnweddings.com. Again, we're based in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. And also visit our Wedding Wire storefront. which is Dunn Wedding Design and Event Planning. And thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful day and happy planning to you.